Okay, if I look sweaty, it's because I am. In truth, this is going to always be best to do if you are already kind of warmed up. If you are not, though, I will take you through a really quick warm up just so that um, you're not trying to like use cold muscles to go into some of these poses. I'll give you some variations, and then for each of these, if you feel like you want to stretch them out and challenge yourself more, like as you're coming back to it, you can think about holding, like staying in that pose, in that position longer, and feeling out like the fatigue in your muscles. Or I'll also give you a point when you can kind of like go back and redo the circuit before going into that last pose where you kind of like come back down to the mat. So we'll get started with body warm up. Again, if I look sweaty, I am. All right, so if you're not warmed up, we're just going to start by kind of silly little movement here, but we're just gonna swing the arms back and forth, doing a little bit of a twist, letting balls of the feet come up off the ground a little bit and kind of pivoting on them so that you're not cranking your ankles or cranking your knees. I will also say I did keep in mind for all of these things that I wanted them to be like a flow that's going to help you with running, to make your legs a little bit stronger, core a little bit stronger, and then definitely dealing with fatigue of the muscles so that they don't get tired when you're running or playing or doing whatever else. And also going to help strengthen your stabilizer muscles so that you're not getting cranky, cranky whatever from running. So you can start to speed this up a little bit, maybe letting the hands kind of swing back beside you, maybe hitting the opposing arm, maybe opposing hip, back of side of the body. And we'll start to slow it down here. Okay, slow it down, you come back to center, and then we're going to center our feet just underneath roughly each hip point here. Thinking about keeping our hips in line just above our ankles here. You can either do like arms out here if you're not feeling super balanced, maybe hands come to the hips, could stay down at your side, but we're just gonna start counting out 10 calf raises. So really thinking about the entirety of the ankles as I come up onto the balls of my feet, holding it for like half of a second, coming back down onto the heels. Lifting up as high as I can, really thinking about how are my ankles coming up, like are they wiggling out, are they wiggling in? But seeing, you can also, if you have a ball, place a ball right here to squeeze and make, like squeeze it in between your ankles to make sure that we're really keeping integrity and grounding down through all 10 toes and pushing up through the center into the balls, into the toes as we come up off of the heels. We'll do, I lost count, so let's say 5 more. Forward. 3, this is just to get a little bit of movement through the feet, through the ankles to really support what we're about to do. 1 more wherever you are, so heels come down, slowly lifting it up. Maybe we hold for a second and then we lower back down. Let's go ahead and shake it off. All right, and then similar to what we did before, thinking about integrity in the ankles, trying not to like let them splay out or in. We're just gonna bounce on the balls of our feet here. And this is just to help us warm up, get the blood moving through the body. Again, this is the kind of thing that really helps your form in running. So if we wanna be more mindful about not doing the strike of the heel first when we run, this, just like jumping rope, is gonna help to really train that brain to foot connection to stay on the balls of the feet. So here for, let's say, 10 more seconds. 9, 8, maybe we, shift weight a little bit, play with it, or maybe we're just up and down. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, again, if that felt like a lot, go ahead and shake it out. Give your feet a little flick. Little twist in the ankles if you need it. All right. So last thing that we're gonna do before we go into some of our yoga poses. So we just practiced doing little calf raises here. We're gonna isolate. So ever so slight bend in the knee. Hips stay right on these tracks over our ankles. Let's start with, you can start with whatever side. I'm gonna start with my left side. So I'm gonna peel up my left foot. Again, hands can come to waist. Maybe they come out, maybe use a wall here. And we're just going to isolate, lifting up. Oops, you see, this is where it can be helpful if you have a wall. To do isolated calf raise. This doesn't have to come way up. We can even keep it almost like big toe pointing or touching the mat. We don't have to come super far off, but again, we really want to think about, do I feel my ankle coming out or in towards center? We're just gonna do 5 more here. 5, 4, maybe hands to the hips. 3, 2, not cheating to use that big toe if you need it, and 1. All right, shake it off if you need to. And we're just gonna switch. Before we do, check in with your hips, make sure that they're over each of your ankles. Gentle bend in the knee. This is gonna help with your balance as you peel up onto maybe big toe. And same thing, trying to really bring the ankle straight up as I lift. This ankle is definitely stronger for me on my right side. And we're just gonna pump up, just as we did before. Again, you can use a wall here, maybe hands come to your hips. And we just wanna lift up isolated here. We'll do 10, so I'm not sure where that count was, but I'm gonna say 5 more. 4, 3, again, it's not cheating if you kind of use your big toe to guide you on the opposite foot as you come back down, because we want to have that same control when we come down as well. So if you feel like I just felt my ankle go out, see if you can slow it down and keep straight up, straight down on the release. All right, and then we'll shake it up. Okay, so once more, maybe we're not quite as tight and zipped in because we're not gonna really push our balance here, but we're gonna stack our hips over our knees, over our ankles. Hands come to the hips for a second. Roll the shoulders back. Think shoulder blades are gonna come down and in towards one another. Okay, and then check it. Anytime we're in the standing mountain pose, I want you to think about the integrity of your back and your spine. So sometimes we're kind of like anterior tilt here. Just if you feel like you're kind of, it's cute, but if you feel it, drag your tailbone down, okay? So it's less about pushing the pelvis forward and more about just tagging the tailbone down towards the ground. So we come into our mountain pose, take a deep breath in. Arms come up overhead. Check that the shoulders didn't come up by your ears. We can roll them back down. Exhale, we'll float the arms down towards our feet here. Drop the weight of the head forward. We're gonna plant our palms in front of our feet. Okay, take a deep breath in. On your exhale, we're going to keep left foot planted forward. Right foot is gonna kick back. We come first onto the toes, and then we'll pivot on the ball of the foot so that our foot comes at an angle instead of being straight in line. We're gonna cut about maybe a 45, 30-degree angle. All right, thinking integrity through the outer edge of that back foot. We'll come up first on the fingertips. Think engage your core as we lift up. Nice strong back, strong core. Arms come up overhead, and we're gonna work towards getting this front leg bent at the knee at about 90 degrees. Okay, so think about pulling your energy in towards center. So that means you kind of feel your inner back thigh pulling in, front thigh also pulling in towards one another as we lift up away from the ground. Same thing, shoulders stay down and relaxed as I lift my hands up over my head in warrior one. So we'll take just a few beats here, a few breaths, in and out. You're really gonna feel this in your legs. So again, this is where we can play with the timing of how long you wanna stay in these positions and these shapes. But if you're feeling the fire, I am, because I just got on my bike, Inhale in. On your exhale, we're gonna bring the arms forward, pivoting on that ball of the back foot. We're gonna place, framing our hands around the front foot as we kick back foot to, front feet to meet that back foot. We come into a plank here. 2 variations, okay? Inhale in, and you can either exhale to come down onto your knees first into a tabletop. You may have to kind of shimmy the hands forward and then lower, keeping control, coming down into baby cobra. Or I can come into my plank and just from a slow, basically push up going down, I'm gonna exhale out. I don't quite let my chest touch as I roll onto the tops of my feet, and I can come into a high cobra or an up dog, depending on how high up we are, how we wanna play with that chaturanga. This is something you can work towards. All right, take a nice inhale in, exhale. So here, again, we're either gonna if you're still on your hips, we'll just shift it back into tabletop, curl the toes under to come onto the balls of the feet, and we'll peel the hips up to meet in downward dog. Or if we wanna do the full chaturanga, if you've worked your way up to it, we're gonna come from our up dog. We're just gonna push up, flip onto the balls of the feet to come back into our plank, and then send the hips back and up into our downward dog. I'm gonna take a quick moment here. I'm gonna turn to my side just to do a quick check-in on what our downward dog looks like. So ideally, heels will start to come down all the way to the bottom where heels will meet the floor. It is not cheating if your heels come off. Most important things that we wanna think about are gentle bend in the knees if you need it, but really pushing. So we're thinking we're not just collapsing into our shoulders, into our hands, but actively pushing away from the ground. And this Uddiyana Bandha, that is not sucking in your stomach, but it's thinking about pulling energy from your lower back to meet your navel. And your navel also wants to meet into your lower back as you're actively pushing away, and roughly your ears should be in between your biceps here anytime you come into downward dog. All right, so from our downward dog, we're gonna raise that opposite leg that was forward. So in my case, that was my right leg. I'm gonna bend my knee, pull up, and plant it just behind the palms of my hands. Pivoting on the back foot. Again, foot goes from straight forward to about a 30-45 degree angle out. So I come first up onto my fingertips, engage my core, and I lift. Arms come up overhead, shoulders stay down and relaxed away from my ear. So come into warrior one on the other side. Again, thinking pulling energy on both of those legs in towards the center. Nice and strong through the outer edge of my back foot, my left foot. Take a couple deep breaths here. Inhaling, pushing air all the way down into your belly. Exhaling as much air up and out as you can. If you're feeling the burn and you're ready to let it go, one more inhale in, and then on your exhale once more, we float the arms down. We're gonna frame that outer foot, pivot on that back foot onto the ball of the foot. As we plant our palms, we'll send right foot back to meet the left. Again, you can either come into tabletop first and then come down, or maybe we play with chaturanga, where we shift our weight ever so slightly forward, slow push-up pose down, and shifting into either a baby cobra where we're still kind of on the belly, or a full up dog. Take a beat here. Inhale, and then on your exhale, we're either gonna, again, send it first back to tabletop, or we're just gonna work on going back up to that plank, curling the toes under, sending the hips up and back into our downward dog. Again, actively pushing out, strong arms away from your mat. Inhale in, we're gonna bring left foot first up, so straightening through that leg, we lift it, we bend the knee, pull it in towards our chest as we can ever so slightly come into a plank, and then we land our left foot forward just behind and center in between our hands. This time again, we're gonna pivot on that back foot, about 40 degrees. Come up off of our fingertips, strong core, strong back. We lift the hands up overhead, and this time I'm gonna send right arm back and line up the right leg, left arm forward. Same thing, my legs are kind of keeping this energy moving towards center. I'm here for just a couple breaths. And keep gentle gaze looking over my front arm here towards my left. Inhale in, check it. I'm gonna send like ever so slightly, maybe 10% of my weight, reaching my arm forward and up overhead, ever so slightly towards the back edge of my mat. And then I'm gonna straighten through my front leg. Exhale. I bring the arm forward, so now both my legs are straight. Check it. All I'm gonna do is turn my front foot forward. So now it's parallel. Both of my feet are facing towards the right side of my mat. All right, hands on the hips, maybe out to the side. All right, so this is a little bit of chest exercise. Really gonna get some core engagement here. We're gonna think pushing the hips back first so that they stay stacked in between the line of my heels here. Hands here, or I might even pull them out towards center as I come very briefly into a forward fold, engaging my core, thinking flat back, so integrity in the back body and my core. And maybe I just come here first, so it might be that I'm just kind of staying on my fingertips or really supporting myself. I might really be into my fingertips. Okay. Eventually, as you play with this, you can start to work on like widening your stance a little bit to start to bring hands back in towards center. Eventually, you can, come down onto your head. Baby steps. So we're just here though. On the fingertips or on the hands, maybe eventually onto the forearms there. Take another deep breath in, and then on your exhale, again, really engaging that core as we think, come up off the fingertips. Bring our hands to our hips and we slowly raise it up. Boom. Great. So, really simple here. Now we're just gonna turn our back foot, that right foot, out towards the back edge of our mat. We're gonna ever so slightly pivot that left foot to that like 45-30 degree angle. And then we bend through the right knee. Spread our arms out into warrior two on the other side. Gaze can come over towards our right side. Again, we're working towards getting that front knee and our warriors bent at 90 degrees so that the thigh is really parallel with your mat, but we're gonna work towards that. Nice inhale in. On your exhale, we're gonna reach only maybe 10% forward with that right hand. And we're gonna bring it up overhead and then slight bend towards our back side. Good, inhale in, exhale, straighten through that right leg again. Exhale, we tuck the arm bit forward. Once again, we're gonna turn her right foot back in line with our left, feet facing towards the right edge of our mat. One more time, hands come to hips, and we're gonna think kind of hips draw back just a smidge so that we stay in line with our legs as we forward fold. We might stop here for a second to hold it, really testing the integrity of the core being that band all the way from the front, and it goes into the lower back here. So if we were playing, we would say like we could rest a plate on our back here. And then we might reach fingertips down. And we can play here. Maybe we come to the palms of the hands, maybe down to forearms. We're gonna work towards these things. Big inhale in. On your exhale, we're coming up gently off the fingertips, bringing the hands towards the hip creases, and we slowly bring the head up, back in line. And then one more time, we're gonna turn left foot forward. We're gonna slightly pivot that right foot towards the front right edge of the mat. And then we're gonna send hands forward one more time, one arm back towards the right side, our warrior two. Inhale in. On your exhale, we're gonna bring both the arms forward. So right's gonna come towards our side, up overhead. We pivot on that back foot. Inhale, exhale, release the hands forward. I'm gonna send left foot back to meet the right. Again, we're here in our plank. We can either slowly lower down or we can go into tabletop first. Whatever your flavor of chaturanga, we'll come down to the mat. And then we come up either into our baby cobra or up dog. And then on our exhale, we're gonna send the hips back either into tabletop position, or once more we come into our plank, and then we meet here, sending our hips up and back into downward dog. Here, you can go through that flow again, going through warriors 1, warriors 2, or if you're ready, we're just gonna take little baby steps, walking the feet up towards our hands at the front of the mat. You can either walk a straight line or kind of do a drunken zigzag foot crossing foot. We'll come into this last forward fold, letting the weight of the head fall forward. Nice inhale in, exhale everything out. Maybe we find a little twist side to side. Feels good in the side body. And then on your next inhale in, we're just gonna slowly, like a rag doll, we're gonna let hands draw a line along our legs, kind of curve in the back as we slowly roll our shoulders up towards the sky, and we come into this mountain pose once more. Again, shoulders are gonna relax the way down from our ears. Shoulder blades come down and in towards each other. We pull that tailbone down if we feel like we've got a little booty tooch. All right, inhale in, we send the arms up overhead. And check in on our exhale. We're just gonna wiggle and do a little shimmy the feet ever so slightly so they're out towards like the edge of a mat or a towel. And then on our exhale, we're gonna bend through the knees, sending the hips slightly back, like you're gonna come into a regular squat, but we're gonna follow this down into our malasana squat. So we're going beyond that 90-degree bend in the knees. So you might find that we have heels kind of lifted here if the backs of the if the calves are really tight and you're kind of in a froggy pose, or if the heels can meet the ground, groovy. We'll start to work on creating space where we can bring palms of the hands towards the heart. Elbows will push into the insides of the knee, and we create this energy where we're thinking knees are gonna pull in towards our knees, but the elbows are gonna be actively pushing out against our knees. As we come into this final little deep squat. So you can stay in this for a few breaths. Depending on how you're feeling on any day, you can either stay here, or we can always bring hands down and we can start to play with a little bit of rocking one knee down to meet the mat, and then the other, if you feel like you need to kind of like work out the lower outer edges of the hips. Or you might just practice being in this position. Why do we do this? Our bodies need this position for everything. This is how we used to do everything. Eat, sit, pee, poop, whatever. We were in this shape. But it's also really, really good for your lower back. And that tends to be the first thing that gets tightened up when people are neglecting their back of the leg muscles. So that is one of the many, 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 many reasons why we do this pose. But whenever you're ready, then you'll be able to just swing the hands back, come onto your bum, and come into a seated position. So again, as you work through this, if you're feeling like it feels really good, you feel like it's getting easy, make it a circuit that you can, do maybe the warriors 1 and 2 times. Maybe you do the circuit 3 times before dropping down into your malasana squat. But let me know how it goes and if you have any questions. All right, have fun.